Hi everyone, and welcome to the wonderful world of gluten-free baking. Today, we're embarking on a culinary adventure that will transform the way you think about baking. Whether you're here because of dietary restrictions or simply out of curiosity, you're in the right place. It might seem a little daunting at first, but I promise it's easier than you think. With a few tips and tricks, you'll soon find that gluten-free baking can be just as enjoyable and rewarding as traditional baking. We're going to break it down together step by step, and before you know it, you'll be whipping up delicious gluten-free treats that everyone will love. From muffins to cookies, and even bread, there's no limit to what you can create. Whether you're new to gluten-free living or just curious to try something different, this guide is for you. We'll cover everything you need to know, from selecting the right flours to understanding how to use binding agents like xanthan gum. We'll explore the basics of gluten-free baking, from understanding essential ingredients to mastering techniques for perfect results. You'll learn how to mix, knead, and bake with confidence, ensuring that your gluten-free creations are always a hit. Get ready to unlock a world of flavors and textures as you discover the joy of baking without gluten. Let's get started. So grab your apron, preheat your oven, and let's dive into the delightful and delicious world of gluten-free baking together. Happy baking! So, what exactly is gluten? Gluten is a protein found in wheat, barley, and rye. It gives dough its elasticity and chewy texture. Some people need to avoid gluten for health reasons, like celiac disease or gluten sensitivity. The good news is, there are lots of delicious gluten-free flours out there. You can find flours made from rice, almonds, coconut, and more. Each one has its own unique flavor and texture, so you can experiment and find your favorites. Now that we know a bit about gluten and its substitutes, let's talk about the essential ingredients for your gluten-free baking adventures. Having these on hand will make whipping up delicious treats a breeze. First up, we've got our gluten-free flours. A blend of different flours usually works best for a balanced texture. Next, we need some starches, like tapioca or potato starch, to add lightness and bind everything together. And don't forget the leavening agents, like baking powder and baking soda, to give our baked goods a nice rise. Gluten-free baking does have a few tricks up its sleeve, but don't worry, we'll master them together. First off, be sure to use a kitchen scale to measure your ingredients accurately. Gluten-free baking can be a bit more finicky than traditional baking, so precision is key. Next, don't be afraid to experiment with different gluten-free flour blends and xanthan gum to find your preferred texture. And remember, gluten-free doughs tend to be a bit stickier, so generously greasing your pans or using parchment paper is a must. Sweet success, easy gluten-free cake recipe. Today, we're going to show you how to make a delicious and easy gluten-free vanilla cake that everyone will love. Whether you're gluten intolerant or just looking for a tasty treat, this recipe is perfect for you. Ready to dive into some baking? Gather all your ingredients and let's get started. Having everything laid out before you begin will make the process smoother and more enjoyable. Let's start with a simple and delicious gluten-free vanilla cake that's perfect for any occasion. Birthdays, anniversaries, or just a regular day that needs a sweet touch, this cake fits the bill. This recipe is easy to follow and yields a moist and flavorful cake that will impress your friends and family. The texture is so good, you won't even miss the gluten. You'll need your gluten-free flour blend, sugar, eggs, oil, milk, vanilla extract, baking powder, and a pinch of salt. Make sure to use a high-quality gluten-free flour blend for the best results. Simply whisk together the wet ingredients, gradually add the dry ingredients, and mix until just combined. Be careful not to overmix, as this can make the cake dense. Pour the batter into a greased and floured cake pan and bake until golden brown and a toothpick inserted into the center comes out clean. This usually takes about 25–30 minutes, but keep an eye on it as ovens can vary. Once your cake is baked to perfection, let it cool completely before frosting. A simple vanilla buttercream pairs wonderfully with this cake, but feel free to get creative with your favorite frosting or toppings. Decorate your cake with fresh berries, sprinkles, or even edible flowers for an extra special touch. The possibilities are endless, and it's a great way to personalize your creation. Serve your cake at your next gathering and watch as everyone enjoys this delightful treat. It's so good, no one will even realize it's gluten-free. And there you have it, an easy, delicious, and impressive gluten-free vanilla cake. Happy baking! Savory Delights, simple gluten-free bread recipe. Who can resist the aroma of freshly baked bread? This easy gluten-free bread recipe will have you enjoying warm, crusty bread with minimal effort. It's perfect for sandwiches, toast, or simply enjoying on its own. For this recipe, you'll be using a mix of gluten-free flours, yeast, warm water, honey or sugar, olive oil, and a touch of salt. Start by activating the yeast in warm water with a pinch of sugar. Then combine the dry ingredients in a large bowl. Slowly add the wet ingredients to the dry ingredients, mixing until a dough forms. Adapting your favorite recipes. One of the best things about gluten-free baking is that you can easily adapt many of your favorite traditional recipes to be gluten-free. With a few simple substitutions and adjustments, you can enjoy your go-to treats without compromising on flavor or texture. When adapting recipes, it's important to remember that gluten-free flours absorb liquids differently than wheat flour. You may need to adjust the amount of liquid in your recipe, or add a bit more if the dough seems too dry. Section 8. Troubleshooting common gluten-free baking issues. Even experienced bakers encounter occasional hiccups in the kitchen. Gluten-free baking can sometimes present unique challenges, but with a little troubleshooting, you can overcome them and achieve fantastic results. One common issue is dry or crumbly baked goods. This can often be resolved by ensuring your ingredients are fresh, measuring them accurately, and avoiding overmixing the batter. Section 9. Resources for the gluten-free baker. Navigating the world of gluten-free baking is easier and more enjoyable with the help of valuable resources. From online communities to cookbooks and specialized stores, there's a wealth of support available to guide you on your gluten-free baking journey. Online forums and social media groups dedicated to gluten-free living are excellent sources of recipes, tips, and inspiration. You can connect with fellow gluten-free bakers, share your experiences, and learn from one another's successes and challenges. Section 10. Embracing the joy of gluten-free baking. Gluten-free baking, far from being restrictive, opens up a world of culinary creativity and delicious possibilities. It's an invitation to explore a diverse range of ingredients that you might not have considered before. From almond flour to coconut flour, and from tapioca starch to chickpea flour, the options are endless and exciting. It encourages us to explore new ingredients, experiment with flavors and textures, and rediscover the simple pleasure of creating homemade treats. Imagine the joy of mixing together a variety of gluten-free flours, each bringing its own unique taste and texture to your baked goods. The process itself becomes a delightful journey of discovery. As you embark on your gluten-free baking adventures, remember to have fun with the process. Baking is as much about the experience as it is about the end result. Enjoy the tactile pleasure of kneading dough, the aromatic scents wafting through your kitchen, and the satisfaction of seeing your creations come to life. Don't be afraid to experiment, try new recipes, and put your own personal spin on classic favorites. Whether it's a gluten-free version of your grandmother's chocolate chip cookies or a new twist on a traditional bread recipe, the possibilities are endless. Each attempt, successful or not, is a step towards mastering the art of gluten-free baking. Baking should be a joy, and with a positive attitude and a willingness to learn, you'll be amazed at the delicious creations you can whip up. Share your gluten-free treats with friends and family, and watch their faces light up with delight. The joy of baking is not just in the eating, but in the sharing and the smiles it brings to those around you. Section 11. Conclusion. A world of delicious possibilities awaits. Congratulations on taking the first step towards mastering gluten-free baking. Remember, practice makes perfect, and every batch you bake brings you closer to achieving delicious results. With each successful gluten-free creation, you'll gain confidence in your skills and discover a whole new world of culinary possibilities. So gather your ingredients, preheat your oven, and embrace the joy of gluten-free baking. With a little patience and a dash of creativity, you'll be amazed at the delicious and satisfying treats you can create. Happy baking!